This is Up North Live News today on 7 and 4.
Now it's 6. Thousands of people are waking up without power following a destructive ice storm. See the impacts and how those affected can stay warm as crews work to restore power. Trevor is tracking the next weather maker. Plus, new overnight video shows damaged homes and downed trees as severe weather hits other parts of Michigan. There are so many impacts to the ice storm, Trevor, including a lot of schools closed, and we have that list on the bottom of your TV screen at upnorthlive.com right now.
Absolutely, and there you can find more impacts and even pictures from all the storm damage that we had this past weekend. One of the most significant storms I've seen, and not even just myself, but the state of Michigan has seen in its history and recent memory. And so we'll take you live to Cadillac this morning, where we didn't have much of an icing issue there. Much of our regions far to the southwest and the northern lower had mostly rain this past weekend, but in the interior straits and much of the eastern upper, we had those widespread icing conditions. What we're dealing with now this morning, if you take a look over radar with that passing snow, is the lingering remnants of this system as it's fully departing the region. And so if you're in the interior along the straits, you have to deal with some of this passing light snow this morning, mostly along the greater I-75 region up towards the eastern upper Sioux down towards halfway in between Mackinac County, mostly along the main road. So that's what we'll have to deal with for the remainder of this morning, but that will depart rather quickly as we are expecting conditions to improve, and we will also see some sunshine on the back end of today. But the main risk today is going to still be some roadways will be impassable as we're holding on to icing conditions mainly in the morning and damage with downed trees and much more. So we'll have more on that, and we're tracking another weather maker for more potentially messy conditions later on in the week. I'll let you know what day when we come back to the weather forecast in just a few minutes.
This is the scene across multiple northern Michigan counties. Ice-covered trees and power lines were scattered across roads over the weekend. MDOT, county road commissions, and others temporarily shut down roads to remove debris. Governor Whitmer activated the State Emergency Operations Center due to the ice storm. People are watching the situation and working to make sure resources are met. Emergency management and law enforcement for counties such as Crawford, Otsego, Montmorency, and Emmett are advising people to stay home or safely make your way to a warming shelter. Hundreds of Consumers Energy crews were on the ground after the ice storm. Consumers has more than 600 crews working across northern Michigan. It's to assess damage and start restoring power. Many areas, such as Gaylord, Petoskey, and Harbor Springs, are still without power and have trees and power lines blocking roads.
We want to get most customers back on Tuesday, get power back on Tuesday for most customers. And then in the hardest hit areas, we think that work is going to continue into Wednesday. The challenge with storms like this, when you see this level of ice, it does really intense damage to those lines, to the poles, to the trees. And so in some cases, you're not just making a repair, but you're actually rebuilding sections of power line.
Wheeler says they're also working with local officials to help with clearing roads. Now we're taking a live look at power outages across northern Michigan. We're starting with Consumers Energy. There are outages in most counties. Sheboygan County is seeing more than 9,000 customers affected. Otsego County is seeing more than 6,000 outages, and there are more than 4,000 customers affected in Emmett County. Now let's check out the Great Lakes Energy map. More than 43,000 customers are affected. There are outages wherever you see those colored dots. Emmett County is seeing the most with more than 21,000 customers affected. Now to the UP, where more than 6,000 Cloverland Electric customers do not have power in Mackinac County. Chippewa County is seeing more than 2,100 customers affected. We'll check these maps again in our next half hour. Camp Grayling has a partnership with Consumers to house contractors. Up to 2,000 line workers are stationed at the camp. Training center staff say expect increased business and traffic in that area through tomorrow. It comes as crews work to restore power. Munson Healthcare's Charlevoix Hospital and Otsego Memorial Hospital are currently running under generator power. Munson says those generators can run up to 48 hours. Resources to refuel the generators are available, so patient care will be provided to affected communities. Munson urges anyone with a medical emergency to call 911 or get care at the nearest hospital while being careful of icy and obstructed roads. Munson's Grayling Hospital lost power over the weekend, but has since been restored. Healthcare facilities in Cadillac, Frankfort, Kalkaska, Manistee, and Traverse City have not been impacted. Munson will be closing several clinics and outpatient services today. A list of those closures can be found on upfront5.com. Multiple communities across northern Michigan are providing warming centers for those affected by this ice storm. One of those shelters is Shea Elementary School in Harbor Springs. It opened up yesterday. As temperatures drop and crews work to restore power, the warming center will stay open all night to provide power and warmth for people.
We felt that it was imperative to offer our citizens a place to stay warm and get some electricity to charge their phones.
If anyone needs a ride to the warming center, the Harbor Springs Police Department will bring you there. For a list of warming shelters throughout northern Michigan, go to the Upfront 5 website and mobile app. A flood warning is in effect for the Manistee River in Wexford County. It's expected to see moderate severity flooding at Sherman. That's near Mesick. The flooding stage for the river is 15 feet. This morning, it's at 15.6 feet. The river is expected to rise to a crest of 16.1 feet this afternoon and evening. It's forecasted to fall below the flood stage Thursday evening. The National Weather Service reminds you it's never safe to drive or walk into floodwaters. This crest compares to a previous crest of 16 feet, which has not happened there since March 18th, 1990. Download the Upfront 5 mobile app to get up-to-the-minute weather forecasts from across northern Michigan. It's free and comes with a live look at the radar. Search for Upfront 5 in your app store to download it right now. Southwest Michigan was rocked by storms over the weekend, leaving behind a path of damage. The massive line of storms marched across Michigan yesterday, producing damaging wind, topping 95 miles an hour. There were hundreds of reports of downed power lines, trees, and other damage in Kalamazoo County. Several trees took down power lines, some even falling onto homes. There were reports of possible injuries when a tree fell on a trailer in Jackson County. Another tree hit a home in Ingham County. In Kalamazoo County, several homes were damaged by trees. And this morning, 3 people are dead and 3 others are in a hospital in West Michigan. It's after a tree fell onto a car in Kalamazoo County. That's according to the sheriff's office. Deputies were dispatched yesterday. It was during the peak of severe weather. Deputies say they found a tree had hit a car. The sheriff's office is now investigating the deaths of 3 family members. We're told 1 person remains in critical condition. Deputies say more information will be released pending notification of next of kin. Millions of people in the United States are under the risk for violent storms through today. The severe weather event could spawn tornadoes, hail, and thunderstorms. Jen Sullivan is tracking the system.
Heavy rains triggering flash flooding in Rayne, Louisiana, where 6 to 10 inches fell Saturday. And now many communities in the Pelican State could be bracing for more rain. Next round of violent storms could impact roughly 170 million people Sunday from eastern Texas up to Michigan. The system could unleash severe thunderstorms and possible tornadoes.
As we get closer to the evening, that line really begins to form, and that's where the strongest storms are expected to be.
Parts of southern Texas are still dealing with flooding from days of heavy rain, like in Rio Grande, where people were wading in knee-high deep water Saturday.
We're just getting like a bucket of water poured on us, and it's just it's too much for the drainage system.
In Alamo, Texas, they've opened up shelters to help people whose homes were impacted by the floods.
Obviously, this is very strenuous time for the public and the families.
This has been a particularly violent year for weather. Approximately 300 tornadoes have been reported since January. That's nearly double the 164 reported by this time last year. And many of the areas that are under the greatest risk for severe weather Sunday and Monday are areas that have already been ravaged by storms this month. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
The death toll following Friday's massive earthquake in Myanmar continues to rise. That number stands at more than 1,600. It's following that 7.7 magnitude quake. It's caused numerous buildings to collapse. Rescue workers are still digging through debris in Mandalay looking for more victims and survivors. The country's essential services have been incapacitated to some degree, with critical roads impassable in some areas. Hospitals in that region are reportedly running short on medical equipment and blood. Several countries are said to be sending aid and rescue crews to help in the aftermath of the earthquake. For the latest news, weather, and sports, go to the Upfront 5 website and mobile app.